All right, welcome back to the Invest in Yourself podcast. Today I got two guests on today, Frank DiMatteo and Anthony Umbadio. Is that right?
That is right.
Okay.
That's right.
All right. Yeah, I just want to make sure I get that right.
Yes, Anthony
And
Duca and Deluca.
in Italian that means little Godfather, correct?
Correct. That's right.
Okay. Yeah. So they were both part of the Gallo crime family, and today we're going to be talking about that, and what their part was with the Gallo crime family, and also about people that were around some heavy hitters, and we're going to get into that with this interview. And if you guys remember, I had Frank on my show, maybe about 5-6 months ago, and please check out his website, mobcandy.com. He's got a lot of good books on there. And
Mobcandymag.com.
oh, okay. There you go, Frank. And he got a lot of mob pictures, from back in the day. So there's not a lot of people that have seen those. So if you guys love mob stuff, you should really go check out his website. But also, please don't forget to hit subscribe if you want to get more interesting interviews like this. But without further ado, thank you guys for coming on. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way we'll get into it today is, we'll talk about your guys' upbringing. So Frank, if you want to kind of talk about, where you were first, and then Anthony, you as well. So, what was your early life kind of like, Frank, and where were you located?
Well, I'm from Brooklyn, Red Hook too. My father came out of the service, started bouncing for Tony Benda. He was a Genovese captain. He winds up getting introduced to the Gallo brothers because the Gallo brothers came up to the wagon wheel. They needed some. They were talking to Tony Benda about getting some help with a breakaway from the Bafacci family, and Tony Benda was giving them a hand, trying to lead them the right way. And my father was there. They met my father. He wanted to knock some guy out in the place, and they brought my father to Brooklyn, and he wound up going to Pleasant Street and wound up being Larry Gallo's bodyguard until he died. Me, I was just a young kid, like any other young kid growing up, everything was natural. The guys you're like your uncles. That's what you know. That's what you see. We were a little older before we realized that, these guys were not regular guys, and then me personally, when I was old enough to start driving, my father just pulled me in to drive. That's how I started.
Yeah, and there was something that really stood out to me, that we've talked about in the interview before. When you were 6, that situation.
Yes.
You want to speak on that?
Yeah, it was the Gallos and the Pafacis were having a trouble in the early '60s, and they were trying to break away, and a lot of arguments were going on. And I was with my mother, and we were on 4th Avenue and Union Street. And one of the Gallo guys that were with Joey confronted a skipper, and they were with. And he started arguing. He said he wasn't getting enough support. And his bodyguard, he got a little pushy. A friend of ours got a little pushy, and the bodyguard shot him in the street, right in front of us. I was across the street, maybe 50 feet away, and they killed him on the spot. Like I said, it was like cowboys and Indians. I wasn't really traumatized by it at all. It was just cowboy and Indian shit, and we just walked away. My mother whisked me away. I found out later, who it was and exactly what happened and stuff like that. But that was my first experience. But it was. I mean, it didn't even look real. It was quick.
Yeah.
It was quick, and like I said, we were gone fast.
Were you when you were a kid, was anything on TV, like that you might have seen, that kind of like a scene out of a movie, or was that the first time you even experienced anything like that?
I mean, yeah, no, it was the first time I experienced stuff like that. But on TV, you see people get shot all the time. So,
right,
I mean, it wasn't strange or nothing. But to see it live is a little different, But we were young, and like I said, it wasn't blood, and it's like on TV, it's right in front of you, it's in your face. You're 40 feet away. You hear a bang, guy goes down, he's dead. But it was an experience, after I started thinking about it. Then no, I was young.
Right. Yeah. So Anthony, what was your upbringing like, and where were you from?
I was born and raised on President Street, lived there all my life, and like I grew up with the Gallos all my life. They were my family. I started as a little kid, like I says, I lived right next door to them.
Getting sandwiches.
And I started going to the store and doing errands and starting bringing their laundry to the cleaners and picking up things like that as I was a kid. But as I started getting older, I started doing other things. Then I started doing the number running. I was the pickup man, and I started picking up all the numbers from all our people that took numbers that turned it to us.
Okay. And so for the people that don't know, what is, running
The
numbers?
numbers are the number racket, Shylocking, and the number racket is like you have Lotto today.
Okay.
This is where it started. In the bootlegging business and all that they played numbers at the time. And I guess the government wanted to get half of it, and that's why they started Lotto.
Yep, that's true.
And before you know it, they said, well, we must be making all this kind of money. They have to get their teeth wet in that too. So, and that's where Lotto came in. And it's exactly with the number running, and that's what I did for years. I started doing all the pickup things and turning it all to Roy on President Street. I lived there all my life. I grew up with them. And like I said, the original three that are left alive is Stephen Gallo, Albert Gallo, and myself is the only three original gangsters from President Street.
Damn.
From that era.
So how many were there at the time?
At the time when I was growing up with everything, they had a nice little big crew they had.
Wow.
Oh, they had 30, 40 guys and everything. But, you have friends of friends that were really not with the crew. They were just friends.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we had a big Indian crew that when we were younger.
Yeah, so pretty lucky to still be one of the three that are still around, man. I mean, that's
right.
a blessing.
Like Frankie says, we're ancient. We're historical.
Yeah, you really are. So that's why it was perfect to do an interview.
And stories and things that we have to tell, we could tell them until we're 99 years old. That's how much stories we have.
Damn. So when was kind of your click moment, Anthony?
The click moment was when I was about 16. Mm-hmm. When I turned 16 years old, it was my birthday, and Louis the Syrian at the time turned around and handed me a pair of keys for a car. And that was my first car that I had on my own. It was the 1965 Riviera.
Nice car.
And then we had the car. Now that I have the car, now I was the pickup man to go and do things, pick up the ribbons, Shylock money, drop off things to Williamsburg. A lot of things.
Yeah. And what about you, Frank? What was your click moment where you wanted to pursue this life?
As soon as I started driving for my father, I was with him. I was with Ricky constantly every day after that. So,
drivers, we were always driving.
Always driving. So
I learned at 11 years old by a man named Jimmy Springs. We used to call him Jimmy Springs. And he had one leg, wooden leg, lost a couple of fingers from sugar diabetes because he never took care of the sugar diabetes. And they started chopping pieces away. And he told me at 11 years old, get in the car to drive. And I says, I don't know how to drive. He says, I'm going to teach you. And that's how I learned. From 11 years old, parking all the cars, doing all that, driving, going to Court Street, picking up pizzas and food and everything to bring down to the barbecue down on President Street. All the parties, the block parties that we used to have. It was great.
Yeah. So at the beginning, it was just really just kind of normal stuff, like with just doing little things here and there for him. Picking up laundry, food, running numbers.
That's right, and that's how it started.
Yeah,
and like Frankie says, one day you get a pinch on the cheek, and that pinch is when you knew that you were really part of a family.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's what families do. You got your grandmas and stuff, pinching your cheeks
like
when you're a kid.
Like I told Frankie, I am a Gallo until I die. That was the only crew that I ever grew up with. And still till I die, I will always be a Gallo.
Yeah, that's good. That's true that you stay true to that. Because that's
You
what
know, you
you
have
grew
no
up
more
with.
loyalty. You have that is thrown out the window. You don't have that anymore.
Yeah, and it's such a
You know, like the way we were brought up and the way everything, we were very, very strong together.
what
And for Joey, we would die for Joey.
yeah,
That
and
was the type of person that he was.
dang man,
When
and
you met him, you loved him because of the type of person. You know, you see things here, people say, oh, Crazy Joe. This. If you really knew the man, he was a beautiful man. He was great. I loved him.
when did you first meet him?
When he first came out of prison,
Okay,
I was on the block at that time. It was very early in 72. I was riding a mini
71.
bike, 71.
Yeah.
I was riding a mini bike, and he came out of the club of Roy Roy's. And he was dressed like James Cagney. He had a big friend fedora on, black suit, white tie. And he says, hey, you, come over here. And he says, do you know who I am? I says, yes, I know who you are. I says, you're Joe the Blonde. See, he used to be Joey the Blonde. He used to have blonde hair. He grew up with my mom. And that my mom used to tell us stories when he was a kid. He used to have very blonde hair. And that's why they used to name him Joey the Blonde before they named him Crazy Joe.
okay. And what about you, Frank? When did you meet Joey Gallo?
Well, I met him when I was young, because my father was with Larry. So when Larry used to come over the house, Joe used to come with him, and they used to talk and stuff like that. And they had habits, Larry and Joey and Blast, that they would pinch your cheek. That was their show of affection.
Yep.
So every time they would come in the house, I used to try to run, because all three of them used to do the same thing. They pinch your cheek into your tears.
Pinch your cheek
until
and
you
put a
almost cry.
$50 bill in your pocket.
And give you money.
Yeah.
But they used to do as hard as they can until you had tears in your eyes. So they were doing that since I was, 6, 7. And then then Joey went to jail, and I didn't see him for 10 years.
Right.
We stood with Larry because my father was driving Larry around. So we saw Larry a lot. And then I saw him when he got back out. Same thing with that. The same day I was on the block with Gombril. We were on the block, and when Joey passed by, he came down on the block for a while, and that's why I met him. He says, called me over. He goes, and he said that I know you're Ricky's son. He knew I was Ricky's son. How? I don't remember how. But then he said to me, don't ever forget, I don't care what happens. He goes, you always got a home on this block. He goes, I don't care about nobody. He says, you'll always have a home on this block. And that's the first thing that Joey said to me when I first met him. And then he told me to go wash the car.
Right. And you got to remember another thing. We owned the block. We owned the block. We had all the clubs. We had Mondo's. We had Roy Roy's. We had our club. We had Mike's. They were all like Longshoreman Rest on the block. We owned the block. We could shut the block anytime we wanted and have no problems with the cops or anything. We used to have block parties, big parties. We used to show movies in the street. It was really, really happening down there at that time.
Yeah, and he could really call that shot, like what he told Frank, because like you said, you own the block, so no one else can come in and tell you nothing, and
that's right.
We had the buildings on the block that we used to go sleep at that were abandoned, not abandoned, but they were empty, and that we used to use them to sleep at.
Yep.
Down Pleasant Street.
Yep.
Roy was involved with the youth organization.
Yeah, the youth program.
Youth program with Tuffy Sanchez.
Yeah.
And all the kids from the neighborhood used to come on the block.
We had a big pool on the block. We built. Instead of having vacant lots, we did something with the lots. We made parks out of them. We built pools, like community things we made for all the kids and everybody that was on the block or whoever was around in the neighborhood.
Right. Damn, man. So they were really putting to use,
Well,
with that money.
It was a hopping block. We was everything going on.
Yeah, real happening.
We used to have a movie every, I think, Friday night.
Every Friday, Saturday, barbecues
outside on the garage door.
Yep. We used to hang up the sheets on the walls.
50 people hanging out watching. Kids,
used to come with their chairs and everything. It was great.
Yeah. Then we had a lot of celebrities always come down the block.
We had
celebrities coming down to meet meet somebody.
We had Judy Garland. We had Martha Ray. We had Telly Savalas, Jerry Orbach, Bob Dylan. We met them all. I served them coffee and cake.
Yeah.
Damn, man. So that's something else. Go ahead, Frank.
Helen Reddy came down. We had that other actor from what's the actor? He died a junkie. He used to come down.
Oh, Ray Shockey.
Ray Shockey was
Ray
down all the time.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
We go Tootsie not Tootsie Short. Another actress. I can't think of her name right now. Something Toot. We had
not
Shirley.
Tootsa.
No, Shirley Winters was good friends with.
We had a lot
of them, man.
And Punchy, Frank Iliano at the time used to bring them all down President Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when they heard President Street at that time, wow, it was a real big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. When did you two meet? You and Frank?
Oh, early days.
Had to be around 70.
When we were about
70, 71 had to be.
Yeah. When we
How old were you guys?
15, 16 years old.
Oh, okay. And you guys started running together. Like, you guys were both drivers at that time, right?
Matt, he was doing numbers and stuff like that. I was staying on the block when I wasn't running around. Then I started doing a little work with Roy. And then my father had a newspaper company. So we always had this newspaper company. So then my father wanted to be able to help me with the newspaper company.
And we used to go
so then we partnered up to do the route. And that was another scene and a half because between drinking and spending the money, we brought nothing back.
Oh, man. Yeah, usually with the drinking and going to the bars, man, you just blow it all.
That right. And we used to drink.
Oh, man, we drank. We drank enough for 400 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you guys, so I know another thing we'll mention is that you guys were never informants. So there's certain things that we can't talk about, so, I'll ask you a question, okay, are there any crimes that you and Anthony that you guys did that you guys can talk about?
The only crimes we can even talk about is stuff we got arrested for.
Correct.
Him with numbers and Shylock and me with, I had a drug pinch, it's over with, I had assaults. I had a couple of gun pinches. We could talk about that, but anything that
would incriminate us, we can't say anything.
No. Even though
maybe if we were having dinner together, we could talk. But first, we have to check to see if you have a wire on.
I don't blame you.
Anything to incriminate ourselves, the things that we might know don't go away. So ain't nothing we can talk about.
No, that's understandable, man. So that is something else. I mean, how did you guys manage to make it out of the life without having to become an informant?
Correct. We got a free pass on that.
You were able to walk away
at the time when Joey got whacked and all that. Say now you're coming into the 80s and everything in the late 70s. There were a little bit movements in the family.
Mm-hmm.
So the Gallo family moved over to the Genovese family.
They got released by the Bafacci family, and they all went to Genovese.
Down by Mulberry Street, we had Casabella on the corner of Mulberry and Hester that Stephen Gallo runs right now on that restaurant. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And what were
and there's another thing I have to say. Everybody that's out there with doing all these podcasts and this and that, me and Frank are the only ones that never turned into be a fucking rat. Everybody out there is still all fucking rats.
Right. You guys never had to do that.
We're really stand-up guys. Like I said, there's no more loyalty, no more honor. That's all gone. But deep down in my heart, like I always says, I'll always be a Gallo.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
we were lucky. We didn't have to. We weren't put in that position. You know, some people get caught.
right.
You know, and they do what they had to go do. I mean, we got caught and we never had to go do what we had to go do. So we were able, you know, when you know, in this life things happen and people break apart and some people walk away because you can, and that's what we're doing. We weren't, you know, obligated in a way that, you know, that we had to do anything wrong, and we were able to walk away.
Yeah. No,
And
that's good.
and no one came looking. And no one came looking for us. So, you know what I mean? We just very lucky guys.
Yeah.
Very fortunate. Yeah.
And that any cases we had, we always beat them. We were lucky that way too.
Right.
You know, so that's where we'll wind up in this position we are, that it's, you know, 40 years later.
That's
and
right.
we're not, you know,
You
didn't
know.
need to be informants. We didn't need to be
no more stand. There's
nothing.
no more stand up.
You know.
No more.
And that's another reason why I walked away.
Yeah.
There was no, couldn't trust nobody no more.
Right.
My father walked away like 2003. He said to me, when that door closes behind us, the next guy that calls you, bring a gun with you. He goes, because you don't trust nobody.
Damn.
Because we're walking away and you can't trust these motherfuckers. Forget about them. Anybody, anyone, I don't care who it is. He goes, anybody calls you, don't go down. It's over. You know what I mean? And no one came calling. It was over.
Damn.
You know? And you know, we had legitimate businesses too.
Correct.
So we were able to, you know, keep on doing the legitimate stuff and making a living. So
right. I started doing electronics and all that stuff there.
Right.
So
So we all had something to fall back on too. That we didn't have.
Thank God for that.
Yeah, flip quarters in the street.
Right.
That's not what we had to do. You know what I mean?
Right. That's good.
We
Because I'm
knew
sure
at
that helped.
we knew at that time it's over.
Yeah, especially when our mentors are
It's
gone.
over. Now, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
You still want to go the way it is today? Like I said, you can't trust nobody. You can't go and do a piece of work with somebody because before you know it, any little thing that happens, that motherfucker's going to turn around and give you 100 years.
Yeah. So it's not worth it. That's for sure. So
That's
what would you guys say to you know, a kid that if they came up to you and said, "Hey, I want to join this life," what would you guys tell that person?
We would have to try to sit him down and really try to school him to try to make him understand
It's over.
that life there is gone.
Gone.
Yeah.
You can't do it. You can't do now. What
Today
we did.
you have to be legitimate.
Yeah,
today.
make money.
Yeah, you be legitimate. You open your things, and then you want to see if you want to do anything on the side. But once you got legitimate, then you're doing things, and you're making a lot of scuttle. You don't think about doing the things on the side.
Right. You're already busy with shit.
That's right. Oh, you don't need to do things on the side.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Unless you're just an idiot and want to be a
Right.
hooligan, but you got to be an idiot to want to be a hooligan today.
Because they see these movies, they think, you know what? Yes, in them days, it's very different today.
Yes.
It's a different era today. It don't work like that anymore.
Yeah.
I want to see someone wants to be a wise guy, start what we did that back then 40 years ago, 50 years ago, see what happens. Before you know it, in 3 minutes, they're going to be locking your ass up.
Shit, yeah.
What was
That camera will be up your ass in 5 minutes.
what was
And they give jail terms now like 100 years for doing nothing. So,
Right.
yeah, it's all higher. And
Yeah.
what was what was the difference back then? You know, what would you guys say that, you know, that what was like some actual examples that you guys noticed?
The difference was the character of the men,
Mhm.
who they were, how they grew up.
Right.
It was their character. A lot of those days, men did a lot of bad things,
Right.
and they got caught, and they rotted in jail. We have a good friends that died in jail because that's what their makeup was. You can't be a fake tough guy. You got it has to be in your body, man. Because if it ain't natural to you, you're going to wind up flipping, you know, or doing some things. I mean, there's other exceptions to the rule, you know, but they don't supposed to be exceptions to the rule, you know. But I think it's a different character of men.
And
You know, anybody could pull a
Different era.
trigger. Anybody could pull a trigger.
Different era.
I know young kids. I got a friend that got killed on Court Street. A 15-year-old kid shot him in the fucking face because they had a glue car accident. And the guy said, "I'm coming back for my money tomorrow." The kid was afraid. When the guy came, he shot him. Kid was a nobody little kid. So easy, pulled trigger and killed him from fear. So anybody can do anything. So you don't got to be a man or a tough guy to do that shit. So and the character's just different now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they threw it away a million years. And, you know, those days we had lawyers, we had some judges, we had some district attorneys. You can buy your way out of a few things. We had a lot of things up our sleeves to get away with shit. There was no cameras. We had licenses with no pictures on it.
At that time. That's right. I drove with my brother's name for 20 years.
I drove with this Irish kid's license, Stevie Clark. Yeah, what's your name? Stevie Clark. Okay,
Yeah.
You show a license, there's no picture, nothing like that. You
Yeah.
can do millions of things.
Yeah.
Now you can't do no cameras, no cell phones.
Eagle eye, baby.
Yeah.
Eagle eye.
Yeah.
The way you are. Eagle eye.
You can do a lot of things. Times have changed. You know.
So what was what was your that you guys were around? Who were some of the guys that were doing some really putting in work like that? That were able to like you said that they were made for that life.
We had a lot of guys, some shooters around us. I mean,
You
yeah,
had real tough guys in our crew.
You had a guy named Stevie Cirillo.
Yep.
Mhm.
He was a real tough guy, shooter.
I was with Stevie Cirillo. He says, Gumbadi, like I said, they never called me Anthony. Gumbadi, do me a favor. Come on, drive me home. He lived on the Grove Street at the time. So we could leave President Street. We could turn on Van Brunt Street. We're coming up Union Street. And we're waiting behind a car that's a red light. And the light changed. And Stevie, we have no horn in the car. And the guy is just sitting there without going through the light. Stevie gets out of the car, walks over to the guy, gives him a smack in the face, and tell him the light is green. Move your fucking car.
Oh my God.
All right?
Yeah.
These are the type of guys that
They're no joke.
their balls were this big.
Yeah. No fear.
Wow.
No fear at all. No fear at all. So you had Stevie Cirillo. You had Bobby Borriello at the time.
Stevie Borriello.
You had Stevie Borriello.
All shooters.
You had the two brothers. You had my cousin Preston. Mad Dog Killer.
Yeah.
All right? But the nicest guy you want to know.
Yeah.
What was
All
their
right.
personalities? Did they had that?
Personality was beautiful, but never
Right.
fucked them.
If you were friends with his personality was nice.
Like I said, the personality was really good, but don't screw them
No, man, they're bad guys. These
because
guys,
then they could be really, really bad guys.
because they were real gangsters. They weren't stupid
Right.
people.
See, this is why the
They were
life.
real bad guys. That's their life. They were real hoodlums. They lived apart. They
were real tough
yeah,
guys.
you know, they'll kill you. There's
They-
no joke here. And stay in jail.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what about them ratting? I in a million years to this day never think any one of them would rat. Never.
Never.
My
What ended
godfather, Bobby Bongiovanni did
Bobby Darrow.
Bobby Darrow did a life bid. I mean, he probably had a ton of shit to give up. He did 5 pieces of work for downtown. He probably had a ton of shit. He
And-
stood in jail for life.
And this is how tough these guys were. When he's talking about Bobby Darrow went to this place in Manhattan, had a drink. Some guy came in there that he thought was involved with Joey, went right in the bathroom, shot him 3 times in the fucking head, came out, finished his drink, and left.
Yeah.
Damn.
I remember the guys coming down to lock him up.
Yeah, came out in pleasure. You locked
And
him
they
up.
were gentlemen. When they came down, they were gentlemen. District attorney looking for Bobby Darrow at the time. And Bobby Darrow was right there. And that was the last time I saw Bobby Darrow, is when they handcuffed him and took him out of the club on President
That was
Street.
December of 72.
This is like the type of guys these were.
Yeah, dude.
They have balls unbelievable.
So
They were called an Indian crew. They were like Indians. That's what the other crews called them because they were wild.
Yeah, had no fear.
All right, no fear at all.
so
That's
what?
why the fear, everybody feared them.
Yeah.
because of the way they were.
Yeah. And what ended up, ultimately happening to all these guys? Did they all
A
get
lot of them wind up in jail. A lot of them died.
Bobby got killed.
All right.
Borriello got killed.
Bobby Borriello got killed on Benson Avenue over there where he lived.
Stevie Sewell got killed at a gambling house.
Called Vegas Nights.
Yeah.
We used to have Vegas Nights that we used to have like in the churches and everything.
Bobby Darrell,
gambling and everything.
Bobby Darrell died doing
and Stevie Cirillo got clipped by a sniper through the window.
He died
right there with his wife right next to him. Yeah. Got clipped over there in the Vegas Nights that we had.
Yeah, killed him on the spot. Yeah.
Yeah, but see, these guys here, if you had a beef with them or anything, you had to kill them. Yeah. Because if you didn't, they'll come back and they'll kill you.
Yeah, there's no joke.
All right, these are the type of guys. But another one, they were beautiful people.
Nice. We used to sit, drink,
they
go
were
for dinner,
beautiful people.
Talk about their wives,
have great parties,
have kids,
of course.
But just don't mess them in the street life.
That's right.
Right.
Street life was completely different. They were two different people. Family and friends.
Yep.
Beautiful. Street life, they were like animals. They were like
Yep.
Two different people.
So, would you say it's not always good to have a personality like that? Since, a lot of them, are passed on now.
No, it was great for them at the time. That's who they were.
Right.
Today, it's not good now. But for that time, yeah.
Yeah.
They do what they had to do. They got away with most of it.
That's why we're saying, see, the times have changed, different eras. That's why you say a kid today, I would like to sit down with the kid today and really try to tell him to look at us. We had that life. You know what? Thank God, knock on wood, we walked away without being dead.
Yeah.
And we have our children, we got grandchildren, we're married. I live in Florida. Now down in Fort Lauderdale, right on the beach. And I've been down here 20 years. And I do some things down here in Florida that I survive.
Yeah. That's, and that's really what life's all about, is just surviving.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
And making it to that point, so.
That's right.
No, I'm glad you guys are still around and, being able to tell these stories because, like from someone here in an interview like this, it can really, change the mindset, from a young kid growing up and thinking
that's right.
Hey, I want to do this shit. But they got to realize the times have changed.
And like, as we were growing up, and like they always said, you know what? We want you with two educations. One education in the books, and your next education is the street. So now you have both. And that is the best that you can have. Once you have the street and you have the books, you got it.
Yeah, definitely.
Was that oh, go ahead, Frank.
That's how you stay smart and you stay out of jail. Now listen, everybody, it's not going to go away. People are going to do bad things forever.
Of course.
But if you do it today, you got to do it with your brains.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do it today. That's why you need education. It's never going to go away.
No.
There'll always be, hooligan shit. That's between gangsters and hooligans and guys who want to make
don't
money.
Get me wrong. We always think like that anyway.
Yeah, we always think of something. We always think of something. But we don't want to get caught. So that's why it takes us 17 years to figure one score out because we don't want to get caught.
Right.
But you got to, today, there's many things to do. You need money and you need brains.
Yep.
And then you can still make money.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it don't go away. But the old school stuff is over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, now that we've talked about, some of the serious, more serious guys that, put in a lot of work, what were some stories that you guys were around, that were funny situations? So I know you guys got a lot of them.
Oh, we have a ton of stories. We have a ton of stories. Which one should I say? Yeah. Which one should I say? Should I say in the backyard with Joey and when they gave the guy the beating?
I mean, I thought that was funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
I lived on 72 President Street. 74 President Street was Mondo the Midgets Club. I lived right next door. I was up in the back of the house, up on the roof by the fire escape, burning all the numbers, all the work, all the slips at the time. And I used to put lighting fluid and burn these things. And as I'm on the roof burning all the numbers, Who comes out in the yard, in Mondo's yard, was Joey, Mooney, and Louis the Syrian. And all of a sudden I hear this screaming of Joey saying, I don't give a F. You have to bring my money here tonight. If my money's not here tonight, you see this fucking hole? I'm going to bury you in it. Well, whatever. But Joey, that's all the guy had to say. Before you know it, the slaps and the punches and the kicks started happening. And they told the guy that if you don't get up and crawl out of here, you're never going to leave. The guy crawled from the backyard all the way out to his car and got in the car and drove down the block. And before he came to the stop sign, he fell out of the car. And the car went right across into Carmine Russo's house at the time.
I think I was laying in the street.
But stories like that, we have a million of them to tell.
Holy
We
shit.
can write books.
It's about stories.
All right.
I put a lot of them in the last book. That if you think we're crazy, if you think you're crazy, we got a story for you. It's a coffee table book we just did. A lot of stuff's in there. A lot of stories. A lot of photos. A lot of stuff about the Gallo. It's a really complete, really a complete storyline of the Gallows. It's really interesting. Anything you really want to know is in there. From discharge papers to medical papers to photos to caricatures, all the court cases. How to family pictures. Wedding pictures.
Damn.
Everything's in there. It's a 300-page book.
Yeah, that's
tons of pictures.
That's
and
great.
It's really anything who's interested in this stuff we're talking about now.
I love it.
It's like the encyclopedia. There's nothing else like it around. There's a bits here, bits there, bits here. But this thing is a complete. I mean, I couldn't think of no more to put in it. And you get it at mobcandymag.com. But I'm telling you, it's a really interesting book. If you find the Gallows and what we talk about interesting, I would always recommend that. And plus, we make $1, so we don't have to go do nothing bad.
Buy a book to keep Frank and Anthony off the streets.
Yeah, we don't want to stay old. We're getting old.
Yeah, we're 66 now.
We just sat sat outside on the porch. I said, I'm too old to go to fucking jail. I don't want to go to jail right now, man. I don't want to do. Let's not do nothing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do now. So what are we gonna do?
That's it. That's it. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna get a couple of boats together. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah. We'll be boat captains now. We'll do something. But you gotta stay. We got to break. We got to break and to be out of this life and to be here to laugh and joke and stuff like that. Which a lot of people didn't have this. This opportunity we had.
That's right.
That's right. In jail. Or they're dead.
Correct.
Or they had one to flip.
Correct.
It's the only thing they could think of doing.
That's right.
So everybody's story is different.
Who?
We're just really lucky that we're not those guys. Thank God.
Right, like me, that loyalty that would never leave me. That's the type how we grew up.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you the story how true that is because then I would be admitting to something that that we did or wanted to do, even though we wound up not doing it. But it doesn't matter. You're still not allowed to do what we did.
Of course.
So we can't even tell you how loyal our loyalty is because we can't even, like these other guys can say what you want. I mean, we got some good loyalty stories that we can't even talk about because you just can't talk about.
Yeah. And that's just, I guess it is what it is with that,
but that's why our side is more of a, like I do in the books or what I talk about is more of the light side of being with a crew and nicknames and who they were and what they did instead of a blood and guts thing. Who killed what? I mean, that's not what we do. Yeah.
No. Who were some of the okay, we'll go into this one first. Who were some of your mentors, for both of you guys that were part of the Gallo family?
Well, my mentor was Roy.
Mm-hmm.
Was my mentor because he taught me and showed me everything as I grew up and how to really keep honesty and loyalty. Like that's the life we grew up. And another one was Jimmy Springs, like I told you. he was the one that took me under his wing when I was like 10, 11 years old and started schooling me at that time. So the time I was 15 and 16, I was already a 25-year-old guy with the mind and all the things that I went through already.
And Louis the Syrian. Louis was very
Louis the
instrumental.
Syrian. Louis the Syrian was, I loved him so much that, like I said, I lived on the block. I lived with these guys. And you turn 16 years old and here's a pair of keys for a brand new Buick outside. Who? Nobody.
Right. And
you know, like the things that you see in the movies and everything, and you saw like in Goodfellas when the kid Henry got pinched in jail. Where do you think they get all those scenes were? Those scenes were from us. All right. When I got pinched doing the number work and everything, that's exactly how it was. When I came outside, everybody was there saying, "Hey, they broke your cherry," and hugging me and kissing me and everything, and put money in my pocket.
Yeah.
That's how it was.
yeah.
That's why family like that, in my heart. Like I said, I'll always be a Gallo. Always.
Anthony, what were their your mentors? What were their titles? Like what were they labeled
Their titles were tough guys. That's what their titles were.
Tough guys.
No, but like were they capos or anything like that?
We didn't have that in our family.
Nothing like that?
No, because of the like the five families. It's like we were against the five families because Joey at the time wanted to take over everything.
Oh, okay.
We broke away.
So
we were trying to break away from the Pafacci family. So this was a breakaway. So it was
the Pafacci family is the Colombo family.
Yeah.
In the early days, it was called the Pafaccis. And then when Joe Colombo came and they named it the Colombo family.
Okay. Yeah, that clears it up. I always wondered that. Yeah.
So that's what happened.
Joe Colombo was the boss, technically. But Joey Gallo said no.
How could he be the boss that he didn't even break a window?
Yeah. He says,
and you're making this guy the boss only because of money.
That's why they broke away. Or they tried to break away.
And that's what they broke away, tried to make their own crew.
Which they made the crew.
And they made the crew, and let me tell you, they were a tough crew. They were very, very feared from the other families. Like I said, they had that nickname called the Indians because they were wild. And the Indians were Preston, Stevie Cirillo, Bobby Borriello, Stevie Borriello, and at the time they don't mention a lot is Freddie Laporta and his brother Nicky.
And Jimmy Gallo was with us for a while.
Jimmy Gallo was for a while.
Yeah. There were a lot of guys that were.
There's so much. Believe me, there's so much.
So
my father did a lot of work down there.
Ricky. I remember Ricky when he came down one day. He just had a car accident where I would never forget this. And he opened his shirt and he had scars like you would see like Rambo in the back and everything. He had that in the front because the steering wheel went right through his stomach.
Jeez.
And you had to see the scars and everything that he had.
90 days in the hospital.
And I knew Ricky all my life. Like I said, I grew up with these guys. I know them all my life.
Yeah. So
at the time, like you say, you were a little kid. Yeah, we were amazed. Look at this life. Look at the clothes. Look at the cars. Yeah. Look at the money.
It blows on you.
All right?
Yeah.
All that. Before you know, we were going to Layton's in Manhattan.
Buying our clothes.
And buying $500 shoes, $1,200 suits. That's how we were.
And then we broke again until we get more
Absolutely. Money. Now we got to make another score. See where we have to go.
What to kind of talk about more, the family. How all the people that were part of the, the Gallo family, they were, they broke away from the five families, right?
No.
What would you say?
They ran themselves like they were. They ran themselves like they were. Their own family, but officially they were a clone in the Colombo family.
Okay.
But Joey and them, wouldn't listen to the bosses. He was on his own. When he was in the street, he goes, "No, I'm the boss. Everybody's go fuck themselves."
Right.
And that's what they did. After
Right.
Joey got killed, then they wound up getting released from the Colombos and wound up going with the Genovese family.
So
and then Gallows was all over then. There was no more Gallows. It was over.
So, before we get into the, the day of the incident, so Joey Gallo was always beefing with Joe Colombo. Was that the?
Yeah, they didn't get along.
They didn't get
They
along.
didn't get along.
No.
No, they didn't get along.
No.
And what was the issue there?
The
Because
issue was Joe Colombo wasn't a tough guy.
Oh, so that's
That's the
okay.
issue.
So that's what you were just saying. Okay.
That's right.
And Joey
Okay.
said, "You're not my boss." And Joey
That's
Gallo
right.
said, "You're not my boss."
And he broke free and started his own.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, he broke away from the Pafachis.
Pafachis.
Joe Colombo at that time was a soldier with the Pafachis.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Then what he did was, after the beef with Joe Colombo, he just acted as an independent group. The Gallo group was an independent group.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't listen to the Colombo family, and
Right.
that's why the whole thing started. The other war we had.
Yeah. And
Oh, yeah.
what wars? I know, Frank, Anthony, you probably, I'm sure you were involved, around when these wars were going on. How many
Always.
wars?
I was around for the whole 3 wars.
All 3. Okay.
Yeah.
What?
We were oldest in the 73 to 76 one. That was
Right.
our really involved with.
Yeah, that was strong at that time.
And was that the one where you got shot at, Frank? Where you were
Yes.
driving a car?
Yes.
Oh, Frankie told you that?
Yeah.
Yeah. When he was driving or whatever, and he got a drive by or.
Yeah, we were hungry and we wanted to go to Court Street to go pick up some
pizza.
food.
Yeah.
Oh, Anthony was with you?
Yeah, me and Frankie. And Frankie just bought the Cadillac off of Mooney,
That's right. But the Cadillac of Mooney.
a convertible. So me and Frankie get in the car. We got the okay from Louis to make sure, like, once you were on the block and there was wartime, you couldn't leave the block.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have to know if you leave, we have to send somebody with you. No one left alone.
Yeah.
And when we got in the car and we drove around and we make the turn on Van Brunt Street, then we're just going to make the turn on Union Street. And this car came just towards us with the shots. And that's when Frankie took off and made that turn and crashed into a Johnny pump. And at that time, we had 24/7 surveillance of district attorneys on the block 7 days a week, every hour of the day. And they heard that and came running around the corner and says, "What happened?" "We don't fucking know. Somebody was just shooting at us." So we figured maybe they thought it was Mooney.
Right. We have Mooney's car.
Because we have Mooney's car. Because maybe they wanted to kill Mooney. So they shot at us thinking it was Mooney.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we could think of at that time.
So did they go away after that, the cops?
They took off. They took
No, the
off.
cops went after them, and they came back.
Oh.
They went after them. They
Yep.
didn't catch nobody.
Right.
And
Were you guys gone by the time they got back, or did you have to go in for questioning, or did they do anything?
No,
The
nothing.
question's right on the block.
Right on the block.
We were right on the corner, in front of the club. They came in front of the club, but they asked us
Yep.
what happened. What happened?
They didn't ask. They're like, "Oh, you guys want to make a report or nothing?" They just
Nope.
that was.
We don't know who it
I don't
was.
know. We thought what? It's a car.
Right. We
No,
can't
but I
even
mean-
tell you what kind of car it was. It was
Yeah.
dark.
It was dark. It was pitch black.
Yeah.
Headlights
Dang.
coming at you. All
Right.
you heard is the pop, pop, pop.
That's
boom,
right.
Boom.
And we ducked and let the
Yeah.
car go where it's going.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we were scared. They were more scared than us.
I bet.
They
That's
ran.
right.
Should have waited to kill us at least. They
That's right.
Left. They left.
Yeah.
There was another time they sent us for pizza one time on the Queen's Pizza to get pizza, and we took the car again. And it could have been before. It could have been before. And we get to Smith Street, and 4 detective cars come swooping down on us, and they pull us over on Smith Street. And it was pouring rain. Never forget it. We're all dressed up.
Yeah.
Had alligator shoes
Yeah.
on, three-piece suit on. I mean, we were all dressed up.
Oh, yeah. We used to dress that to damn.
And we had to stand in the rain, and they took the car apart. They
Yeah.
pulled the seats out. They pulled.
Looking
Oh
for
my
weapons.
God! Pulled the whole. They thought we were running guns because
Right.
things were going bad. They thought we
Looking for
were running guns
weapons.
to somebody. They didn't find nothing. They left the stuff in the street. We had to throw the stuff in the car and try to drive back to the block.
Right.
With the seats upside down.
Yep.
The whole trunk was out.
Yep.
Anything you
The
can imagine.
Chrysler. It was the Chrysler at that
it
time.
was a Chrysler. Let me tell you
Yep.
something. Took the car apart. Left us in the military. Okay, fellas.
Yep.
Soaking wet.
Yep.
We walked into the. I think we picked the pizzas up. I don't know if we did. And we got back to the club. We looked like wet dogs.
Yep. and like I said, we had surveillance 24/7. I used to come out of the house every day, and this guy named Charlie Bartel used to say, "Hey, Anthony, good morning." Meanwhile, it was in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Good morning. He says, "Today's the day we're gonna break your cherry," and that's
Yeah.
I was never arrested until they arrested us for doing the work for the gambling, shylocking, number running, racketeering,
Right.
all that stuff there.
So
Yep.
how did that look, Anthony, when you got arrested? Like, how did they approach you? How was that day?
Well, this is a very funny story because on the block, they were building a sewer at the time. And there was a whole big hole in the middle of the street on the whole block. And there were construction workers working there. And when I came finishing my route, I parked the car on the side and I walked into Roy's. As I take like 3 steps in, I hear the door open behind me. And I turn around. It's a construction guy telling me, "Hey, buddy, could I get some coffee here?" I said, "No, you got to go around the corner to Polio's, and that's where you get your coffee." "Thank you." He closed the door. I take 2 more steps. I hear the door open. And here's 5 guys like this with guns at my head saying, "Anthony DeLuca, don't move. Raise your hands. We have a warrant for your arrest." Blah, blah, blah. They had a warrant for my arrest. They had a warrant for Roy at the time. And Frances was in there, Roy's mother. And they told Frances at the time, "If Roy don't come here, we're locking you up." So Roy came here. They sent word. Roy came. And they locked me and Roy up, and they're tearing the floor apart. They're looking for, I don't know what they're looking for. They're looking for the work, the numbers. They didn't find nothing. On me, they found, at the time, they go in this pocket here, they take out like $3,500. They put it on the table. They take my wallet out. Then they go in this pocket here, and they pull out 2 joints. At the time, I had 2 joints in my pocket, right? And they put the 2 joints down on the table. And then, your little pocket on the side of the dungaree? I had my weekly ribbon folded up in a little piece of paper. And that's how they grabbed me.
Oh.
They found the little piece of paper. They found the ribbon, and they says, "We got him." Meanwhile, the 2 joints, they threw in the garbage pail, and they turned around to me. They says, "Anthony, you smoke pot? Ain't it easier to go to the liquor store?" I says, "I have bleeding ulcers. I can't drink liquor, so I smoke pot." But they threw the joints away. Now they have us in the DA's office. They have me in this room, and they have Roy in the other room. But they were gentlemen. They fed us steaks and lobsters from Queen's Pizzeria.
Really?
At the time, and they're in there, and they're saying, "Anthony, Roy's in there telling me that you control everything." I says, "My name is Anthony DeLuca. I wash dishes." At the time.
Roy who?
Right? So this is what they were playing
They played
against both of us.
Okay.
But this is why I say there is no stand-up anymore. All right? Look how loyal we were.
We knew that wasn't true.
Okay.
We knew 100%.
Absolutely
that wasn't true.
not.
We knew that 100%.
You think Roy's in there saying this? No, because
No way.
Roy's the controller. He's the controller of the Bay, not me.
Yeah.
I'm only the runner that I
Yeah.
did for years.
Right.
But yeah, there's stories like that we have.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And, kind of going back to the wars, what was, you guys were a part of the second one. And
Now-
Anthony, you were a part of all 3 of them, right?
All of them. Correct.
What was the first one about?
Now, when things happening, when the wartime, all Louis the Syrian at the time used to come out and say, Gumbario, get the kids, tell everybody they have to stay off the streets, get everybody in their house. And before you know it, he puts 2 pistols underneath the garbage pail and he says, make sure nobody goes over there. Keep your eyes on that. He says, but stay off the street. We're going to have trouble today. And they always gave us a heads up on anything like that. That's why I says, we had control of the block. We owned the block. We used to put a car up on the corner and block the street where nobody could come down. All right? If you wanted to come down, we moved the car to see who you are and we let you come down.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it was for years. And you know what? And like I said, we had 24 hours surveillance. Even then, they didn't even say anything or do anything to us at that time. They knew a lot of shit was going on. There's so many stories that we could tell. There's another story that I was in the club one day. There was me, Bulleye. Roy just went across the street. We have the club on this side of the street. And we used to serve coffee and cake to all the district attorneys. They used to come in the club. They had free coffee, free cake, anytime they wanted.
All the detectives.
Okay, all the detectives. And I was in the back. We had a beautiful kitchen. We cooked every day for 30, 40 guys, and I was in the back of the kitchen. I remember one of the cops come in and they says, Anthony, here's the creamer. We used half and half. I put the creamer on the table, but when I went to bend down to open the drawer of the refrigerator, my piece was out in the back, and the cop just turned around, didn't do anything, turned around and just walked out. And I went, holy shit, he's seen that, because I grabbed my back. Yeah. But see, things like that, they were all right.
Yeah.
You know?
So you let it slide with a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
And
but when the shit came down and everything,
then they couldn't.
Then what do you do?
Yeah.
Charlie Bartel and the guy Ed. Ed seen me with that pistol, just turned around and walked out. He was a good guy.
Yeah, Charlie Bartel called me with a pistol too.
Okay.
And he told me, get back on the fucking block.
Now. Right. Yeah. Okay. These are cops telling us. How's that?
He was leaning. I had a gun in my jacket in a van, and I was doing work. I came out and I see him leaning on the jacket, saying, "You got to go back to the block now." Yes, sir. And
and like Frankie said, we used to get the van or the station wagon to deliver the Screw magazine that we had. We used to deliver them to all the newsstands. Yeah. Absolutely. We used to have 2 pistols on us each.
It was all cash business. Pick up big money.
At that time. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, because it's a whole different time, and also on top of that, I'm sure they didn't have no body cams or nothing like that either. So
thank God. That's right.
Or else that would have been a whole nother story.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And they probably felt bad for us because we were young guys. They probably gave us a pass. That's why too.
Yeah. They didn't want us because really we were the younger guys. Yeah. They wanted the other guys.
They wanted the shooters, not the younger guys.
Yeah. Okay. So which was there a certain war where Joey Gallo ended up, getting killed? Was there a war?
That was
well, that's the argument that started the war.
That started everything after Joey got clipped.
And what was that situation? Why did that happen?
Well, why did that happen? Because all the other families had to get rid of Joey because he wanted it to, like Frankie said, he's the boss. Mm-hmm. He wanted to be the boss. And
plus, at the time, they were blaming him for the Joey Colombo shooting. Right. But everybody blames Joey for that.
Anything that happened in the news, whoever got clipped,
Joey could get it.
Always Joey. Always President Street. Always the guys on President Street.
So there was an open contract on Joey from the day he got out of jail.
Right.
So it was always open one.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember that day like it was yesterday.
What was going on?
I was in the club that day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they had the caddy at the time, and Pete the Greek and Joey pull up in front of the club, and Joey gets out and he says, Gumbadil, where's everybody? And I says, they just went to Smith Street. They'd be back in about 15, 20 minutes. He says, okay, come over here, give me a kiss. He says, I'm going out for my birthday. I'm going to the Copa. All right. I gave him a kiss. That night, I fell asleep in the club. Well, I should say that morning, I heard commotion, and I woke up, and I couldn't believe what I heard. My mother's crying, saying that, Anthony, they just killed Joey. I says, what? And that's all the commotion that I heard. And before you know it, all the cars started coming down President Street. Everybody started coming down President Street when Joey got clipped.
And they're all coming to find out what happened.
When Joey got clipped, every other day after that, there's 3-4 guys getting clipped every day.
Damn. Every day. And they were trying to find out who did it, or did they ultimately?
Well,
do they know?
No, they blame Joey.
They blame Joey for everything.
No. I mean, do they know who killed Joey Gallo at the time? Were they trying to? They knew right away.
They knew, of course. They knew the order and stuff came from Matty the horse.
Mm-hmm.
And then Pete the Greek was there, so he came back and told us, so he was there.
And so that's who they started seeking vengeance on right after that.
Well,
that crew.
You could.
Well, we did. I mean, we went after Joey Yak.
Yes,
I think Joey Yak was the acting boss at the time,
right?
And you had to go after them, and that's what happened after that. But that only lasted a year or so, maybe a year. So then it calmed down, and then the last beef was the internal beef. That's the one me and Anthony was at the last one. Right.
That's the one that we were really involved with.
Yes.
Because what happened with there, like 4 or 5 guys broke away from the crew.
Mm-hmm.
Want to start their own crew, and they went with the Colombo crew.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I was still doing the work with all the numbers with Sammy the Syrian, and Louis at the time says, Frankie couldn't drive me to go and see Sammy the Syrian that day, so another fella named Vinny Russo was like my little bodyguard wherever I went. He was a very big guy that, we had to have these guys here because, like you said, when there's wartime, you have to be very, very careful and very, very alert. Okay, you can't put your guard down for a second. So Vinny Russo drove me to the club on Fort Hamilton Parkway where these guys that were with us broke away from us. So at the time, the blast and Louis the Syrian at the time says, Gumbadil, what do you have to do with Sammy? So I says, I still do the work with Sammy. I still didn't get paid. It's like 5 weeks I didn't get paid doing the work. And that's when they says, okay, go up to the club on 39th Street and see Sammy. Tell him you're here, you want your pay. So, okay, Vinny Russo drives me up there. We go into the club on Fort Hamilton Parkway and 39th Street. And we walk into the club, and we see the guy sitting there. I had sunglasses on. So I walk in, you know how you walk into something, it's dark. So I take my sunglasses off, and I start putting them in my jacket, and everybody's jumping up in the club on 39th Street. And who's walking out? Sammy the Syrian. Say, hey, Gumbadil, what are you doing? What are you doing here? What can I do for you? I said, Sam, I'm fucking broke. I didn't get paid in 5 weeks. He turned around to Hank, Tarzan at the time. He says, what do you got to get, Gumbadil? I says, 5 weeks. They gave me $1,500. Bing, right there. Soon as I put the $1,500 in my pocket, Sammy grabs me by my throat, strangling me against the wall, and telling me all these things. I want you to go back down President Street and tell the blast this, tell the Borriello brothers this, and that. And I'm over there choking to death. All right. And there was a guy named Jamesy that was with Sammy and said to Sammy, Sam, what the fuck you doing? He says, that's Gumbadil. Right. And oh my God. Right, Goomba. Then he started like patting my face and saying this and that. Oh, I'm so sorry. And he says, I want you to bring me, what do you call, an ounce. I says, I'll bring you whatever you, I had the pot business. All right.
Oh,
I says, I'll bring you whatever you want. All right. So, okay. Now, the meantime, the guy that drove me, they beat him to death. They beat him with a hammer. All right. His hands, his arms, his head, everything. Black eyes for fucking a year he had. They beat him up so bad that I only had on my neck the strangling from Sammy strangling me on my fucking throat. And when I got back down on President Street, the blast says, what happened? I says, this is what happened. All right? I says, first of all, he's going to come down and fuck you in the ass and tell the Borriello brothers that I'm going to kill the Borriello brothers. And he wants me to bring him fucking pot. Right? Oh, yeah. Oh, and he's going to call me in Reni's. Reni's was Gargiulo's florist that was right next door to us on the club. There was the pay phone in there. That's the phone we used to use. So he told me he's going to call me in Reni's to make arrangements for me to bring him the pot. I says, of course, whatever you want. I get out of there. I go down President Street. I says, this is what he did. I says, and look at Vinny. They beat Vinny with a hammer. They broke his knees, his fingers, his arms, his elbows, his head. They beat him with a fucking hammer, with a ball peen hammer.
For nothing.
All right? And all he did was drive me. Yeah. Okay? And then this is what he did. Sammy's going to call me. He wants me to bring him 2 ounces. I told him I'll bring him whatever the fuck he wants. And I turn around to Bobby Borriello at the time. Rini comes and says, Anthony, you have a phone call. So I says, what am I going to tell this guy? So Bobby at the time says, Goomby, tell him to go and fuck your mother. All right? So, okay. Now, these are tough guys. Yeah. I get on the phone. I says, hey, Sam, hey, Goomba, he just got my stuff. I says, fuck you and your mother, you fucking scumbag, this and that. The guy is screaming that when he sees me, he's going to kill me. All right? Fuck you. I hang up the fucking phone. Okay. A couple of months pass. I have the store on President Street where we had all the jukeboxes, the pinball machines, everything. I used to do business with this Shylock that lived on 94th Street and 3rd Avenue. So I went to his house one day, and before you know it, I'm in my store. I turn around, it's the fucking guy that I just went and see. I says, what the hell are you doing here? He says, Anthony, he said, some guy just came to my house. I says, what are you talking about? He says, his name is Sammy the Syrian. He says, he don't want you doing business on my block. He don't want you on the block. He says, the next time he sees you, he's going to kill you. All right? Now, this is an issue that I had with this guy, Sammy, that chased me 3 times. I was with my girl at the time. There was a McDonald's just opened up on 4th Avenue and 37th Street. Mm-hmm. We're all down in the club. We're hungry. I says, hey, that new McDonald's opened up on 4th Avenue. Goomby, go there. Get 20 fucking cheese, this, that. Okay, I'm ordering everything. I get out. I put everything in the car. And I look in my rearview mirror. And I says, oh, my God. I says, as I'm saying that, this car pulled up on the side of me, named this guy Bobby D, big guy at the time. Pulled up on my side of my car, tried to drag me out through the window. Who is it? Sammy's driving. Sammy, you Goomba, you little motherfucker, I'm going to kill you. I take off. I am doing 100 miles an hour down on 4th Avenue, going through every red light with my hand on the horn, and these guys are right on my bumper. If I stop, they're going to run me right the fuck over. All right? Going all around this and that. We get back to my neighborhood. I'm on Columbia Street. I stop by Summit Street. I get out of the car. Now I'm waiting because now I'm in my neighborhood.
Right.
All right. Now he stops at Hamilton Avenue and he's screaming at me. And he says, Goombadil, when I see you, I'm going to kill you. You little motherfucker, this and that. And there I am. I got big balls. Now I'm in my neighborhood. Fuck you. I'm screaming at fuck you, you motherfucker. All right. And I get back to the block. And they says, what the fuck happened? I said, Sammy just chased me all the way down here. Everybody's hysterical because this is the beef that I have with this guy.
And this Sammy, dude.
All right? And this motherfucker was bad, this little motherfucker.
Big as a house.
All right? Short, stubby, like a fucking tank he was.
The football player. He had hands this big.
Things like that, stories like that, we have 100 of them.
God.
We have 100.
What the hell happened? Did he just eventually stop chasing you, or what
Well,
happened?
what happened was he got clipped.
Oh,
He got clipped
2 times.
twice. He lived the first time. Then he got clipped again, put him in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And the motherfucker's still alive. He didn't die.
Damn. So he's still around today.
All right. We don't know if he's dead or anything. I passed his house. He still has that big letter Z in front of his house.
He's old. He's got to be up there in age, right?
And when I pass, I throw everything in front of his yard and say, fuck you, you prick, you.
Damn, man. What the?
This guy was a bad dude. He was a bad guy.
Damn, man. What did you do? So what did you do to piss him off?
Nothing.
Nothing.
He just took out on him.
No,
because he was
because this is the message. I was the message. You understand?
Okay.
That I was getting strangled, and you go back down President Street, and you tell him this, and you tell him that, and you tell the Borriello brothers.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. That was the issue.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You follow what I'm saying?
And then go with the guy on the phone, told him go fuck his mother.
Right. Then I says, this guy's going to call me. I got to give him like a half a pound of pot. What am I going to tell this guy? So one of the guys told him, say, go fuck your mother. And that's exactly what I did. Sammy, go fuck your mother. And that's it. And the guy went crazy. And he said, as soon as I see you, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, that didn't help.
So by him strangling me, the next time he's going to put me in a box.
But they thought, but they said don't worry about it because they had up their sleeve. They would shoot him soon anyway. They would have clipped him soon anyway.
Right.
That's why he told you. Remember,
that's right.
Don't worry about it.
He's going to be taken care of.
Exactly. Because
but he was taken care of, and he still lived. That motherfucker.
Yeah, twice they went to shoot this guy. This guy, shit.
Just couldn't be stopped.
Yeah, when you have time, we got so much to tell you. Believe me.
Oh man, I definitely do want to do a part 2 with y'all. I mean, I'd be more than willing to, man. This has been great. I mean, this has really been something. You know, Frank, I'm glad you brought him on so I could, finally meet him. And
cool.
Thank you.
I mean, it's something, something different.
Yeah.
I mean, I really like it. And
me and Frankie, we did a lot of work together.
Yeah,
a lot of work. Believe me. Even we opened after-hour joints. We opened clubs. We opened restaurants. We try to do, like I said, as we were getting taught, as we were growing up, you have to be legitimate. Mm-hmm. Everything's got to be legitimate. Yeah. You can't be a fucking wise guy or a gangster because, first of all, where do you get your money? How do you live? This and that. They're going to pinch you anyway.
Right. Yeah. There's no way around that. So
right.
Yeah,
so you have to show. Learn. You have to show.
You got to adapt and learn.
That's why. Yeah, we're Italian guys. We opened the fucking Mexican restaurant. How was that?
That's fucking awesome. That's fucking dope, dude. Yeah, and now you guys get to tell your stories and have a good time. Shoot the shit. So
we have so much.
And that's the whole. That's the story itself. Is we're lucky guys. We haven't been the lucky ones. Not everybody's lucky like
lucky us, to walk away and talk about it.
Yeah, you're absolutely
and
right.
Like I said, these guys that walked away, that got pinched and doing all these podcasts and this and that, they're all rats. Yeah, they're all rats. They gave 100 guys a fucking 100 years. Believe me, like I said, we're loyal, we're honest. We tell it as it is. We don't bullshit. We just
we don't go.
Absolutely.
We don't go on these shows and gingerilla nobody.
Right.
We don't do that. That's not what we do.
We
Yeah.
don't.
You know, no,
But if
we
they
can't
want-
do it.
If they want, we're here. We can match any one of them. Any one of those guys that are out there doing all that stuff there, we could sit down with any one of them and really have the true stories.
Yeah.
Not shit that you hear from mouth to mouth to mouth to mouth. Time it gets to the other guy, you forget about the guy's an angel.
And like I said, another problem. These guys know anybody's business. I don't know nobody's business except the guys around us.
Correct.
They know stories about this family, that family, this
Right.
guy, that guy. Oh my God, man!
Right.
How much stuff do you know?
Of our family, what do you want to know about our family?
And you're not supposed to know nobody's business. That's what my kid. You're not supposed to know nobody's
That's
business.
right.
Holy
Right.
shit!
And then what were you doing as you were growing up? You listen
Yeah,
and you shut up.
right. And no one told you what
Okay.
they're doing. We were inside, and they never told us what they were doing.
Okay?
No one.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna kill somebody tonight. No one tell you that.
No.
We weren't privy to that. I mean,
No.
unless a little warning about something to be safe or something like that, you'll get a hint, a pinch to stay the
Right.
fuck home or do
Right.
something. But they couldn't tell us to. You don't do that in this world. You don't tell everybody. Oh, you get a whole 40-guy crew together. Oh, we're gonna kill Tom Dick tonight.
Right.
You don't do
No.
that.
Right.
Just the people who's privy to that does it.
Yeah.
No, they just know too many stories. But then again, maybe we don't know. Maybe they know better than us.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, like I said, I really appreciate getting your guys' perspective on things and really hearing about the Gallo family because you guys really will open it up for me to understand it more. So,
Yep. Like I said, this is the last of the Gallows.
yeah, that's true, man. I mean,
All
because like Frank said, there's
Nobody left.
you and Frank said there's not a lot around.
That's
No.
it.
Nobody
Nothing.
around. There's
That's
nobody
it.
around. That's it.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody we know is pretty dead. Pretty much
Right.
we know.
Yeah.
The 40 people we dead, 37 are dead. So that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No.
That's what it is. And that's what it is. So, like I said, if anybody's interested, go to the website,
Yes.
mobcandymag.com. If you think we're crazy, do we have a story for you? It's a
Yeah.
really good book.
It's great.
All the shit we're talking
It's
about's
great.
in there.
Yep. Plus more.
Oh,
plus
you
that
got
more.
that.
If
You
you're
got
Gallo,
that.
I mean, anyone goes on your show that like Gallo stuff or any interested in their thing, it would be interesting to them. You know what I mean? So
And like I said, nobody could come and say, "Hey, that guy." No, I lived there all my life.
Yeah.
I was born at 63 President Street.
no one could tell a
In
story. if we were there.
1956, born 63 President Street, lived at 49 President Street, lived at 72 President Street, lived with Papa Gallo, lived with Stephen Gallo for 10 years. I got stories, believe me.
Yeah. No, I'm like any final words that you guys have.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Let me hit end on here. Let's see. Make sure it stops. What'd you think? There's not a whole lot of these guys around anymore, especially from the Gallo family doing interviews. So this was a special exclusive interview. So I hope you liked it. Please subscribe if you want to get more content like this. I'll also leave a playlist at the end of this video that you can click on that I've had a lot of other mob guys that I've interviewed, so please check that out. Also, another update for my channel. I'm working on a new series called The American Mafia. It's going to be a documentary series, so I'm actually going to have mob members that were a part of these crime families. It's probably going to be a 7 to 9 episode series, I would say. So, each family will have an actual mob member that was doing work and, affiliated, doing all kinds of different stuff like that. And then I'll probably have some mob experts as well and some police officers that were involved with the Mafia. So please be on the lookout for that. And, please hit subscribe.